Yo, what's poppin', my 420 army? It's your boy Miley 420, and yep, I'm doing. We're reviewing the original. We're going to be reviewing the Madagascar films. I know I'm a little late to this. I said I would probably review these and back when I did my Let's Play of Uncharted 4 back in May of 2023, which I know it's been 2 years to date, and now I'm reviewing the Madagascar films, but. Yep, basically this was one of DreamWorks' good franchises. Or I've heard this is like one of, I think this is probably like the most underrated franchise that DreamWorks has made. Aside from, I don't know. Well, I think like, because it's not as popular as like How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Panda. But, yeah, it's basically about with three animals getting stranded on an island. So, the movie starts with when we see Marty the Zebra, voiced by Chris Rock. Yes, also, yeah, by the way, because of these movies, every Chris Rock role is Marty to me. So every time I hear Chris Rock's voice, I'm like, yep, that's Marty from Madagascar. He's just like daydreaming, like running through some field and some penguins fly, which, by the way, penguins are actually flightless birds, and yes, this is the franchise that gave birth to the penguins of Madagascar. So then that's when, as Marty's running, that's when Alex the Lion, voiced by Ben Stiller, pops up and interrupts him from his daydream, and then the reason Alex interrupted him was because just drop off a birthday present, which was like a snow globe that he hid in his teeth briefly, and my phone's on my bed. My mic's over here, so you're not getting my notifications. Anyways, after Marty finds the snow globe in Alex's mouth, he's like analyzing it. Alex is like, I should have gotten you that Alex alarm clock, shouldn't I? And then Marty says he likes the president, but he's just getting tired of doing the same routine every single day. It's like, yeah, that's understandable. Doing the same routine over and over again does eventually kill you. So it's like, yeah, this is a great way of what led the franchise to be. And then, anyways, like, the bells start ringing. That's when they have the visitors at the zoo. So that's when Alex is excited, so then he wakes up their fellow animals. Gloria, the hippopotamus, voiced by Jada Pinkett Smith. Yes, the Jada Pinkett Smith. Freaking, was this before Jada Pinkett Smith went bald, or was she always bald? But then after Alex wakes up Gloria, but then she decides I'm gonna rest for a bit. And then he wakes up Melman the giraffe, voiced by David Schwimmer. Yes, when I watched Friends, I realized, why the fuck does Ross sound like Melman from the Madagascar films? It's like, no, same actor. So basically what's so funny is that Melman's like wearing a cone around his head. He's like, I have another brown spot on my shoulder. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's normal for giraffes to have brown spots on them. So then basically Alex is getting ready to perform his show, because everyone at the zoo views him as the king of New York. And so he's just doing his routine, which is actually kind of cool. It's like a nice playful roar. He doesn't do like a real one. That would terrify the little kids, and Alex would be put shit away from the zoo. But anyways, Marty has like a water routine that he's doing, and he's yeah, and then that's when the penguins of Madagascar come in. The penguins are voiced by Jeffrey Katzberg. That's Rico, even though Rico doesn't speak full sentences. Christopher Knights is Private. Tom McGrath is Skipper, and Chris Miller is Kowalski. And also we get the chimps. Mason, voiced by Conrad Vernon, and Phil is mute, so yeah, but yeah, Conrad Vernon, I think he's been in a lot of DreamWorks films, so he's basically the John Ratzenberger of DreamWorks. But anyways, the penguins are like trying to dig to Antarctica, and then Kowalski realizes they broke their last shovel because they're just eating like plastic spoons. So then Skipper sends Rico to fetch some more, and then anyways, it's basically just the end of the day after like a full day. And then Marty finds the penguins coming up in his pen, and it's like, you guys are still in New York, and you're going to Antarctica? Holy fuck. They're going to the wild, and Skipper's like trying to convince Marty that they didn't see anything because yeah, the penguins eventually got their own spin-off. Like it was a Nickelodeon show, and then they got like a movie that came out in 2014, so anyways, Alex is like saying goodbye to like the last few of his visitors when someone throws some underwear at him, but then he shoots them over to Melman. And we cut to that night where all the zoo workers are just like kind of feeding the animals. They give Alex some steaks. Melvin has like pins in him, and then like I forget what they're doing with Gloria and Marty. But then, well, it's sunset, but then it's like completely dark out when they're celebrating Marty's birthday, and then Melvin gives Marty a thermometer. It's like, that was my first rectal thermometer. I think rectal is another word for the butt, so Melvin had that thermometer in his ass, apparently. Oh boy, we're putting some butt stuff in this. Well, it's the same company that makes Shrek, so there's gotta be some fart and poop jokes. But then they give Marty his birthday cake. That's when he makes his wish of wanting to go to the wild. And even though he's hesitant to tell them, but they eventually make him tell them. And everyone like freaks out. But then Alex and Marty are kind of talking, and then after some like arguing with Gloria, when Gloria's like convincing Alex to talk to Marty, he finally does by like saying something like, "Sure, it's a night. You're not going to see stars out in the wild," because he thought a helicopter was a star before it flew away, and then they're still like just kind of casually talking, thinking they might go out to the wild, and Marty's saying that he's black with white stripes or white with black stripes. Yeah, they say this a lot in this film, and then it was reused in the second one, but surprisingly not the third. If you wonder why. But yeah, anyways, after, it's so there's a really funny scene where like Alex goes to bed and he's like, they forgot to turn off the ambience again, and then Marty literally kicks a loudspeaker. Then you can hear like cop cars in the distance. It's like, yep, so we're really setting up Marty's character arc. He's tired of living at the zoo his whole life, and he just wants to go out to the wild, which he sneaks out, by the way. Marty sneaks out at like 11:30 at night, and then Melman wakes up Alex after having to go take a piss, because apparently Melman has like a bladder infection. He's like, okay, so I have to get up every 2 hours. You know how I have to get up every 2 hours to take a piss? So I looked over at Marty's pen, and he was not in there. So then Gloria is also up, and Alex, they're like, wait, what? Where's Marty? And they even find the small hole that the penguins dug, and Gloria's like, Marty's not going to fit in that hole. So then they're thinking they gotta call somebody. So Alex really calls 911 and asks for missing animals, but it's like, yeah, I don't think the operator speaks lion, so he's not gonna understand a thing that you say. And Alex even realizes, wait, no, this isn't gonna... They can't call the people, they're gonna get mad and get Marty transferred for good, so... Then Alex decides, we're gonna have to go after Marty, and he's probably lost and alone. Poor guy. Nope, Marty's just doing just fine. He's walking down the street, and we even got Staying Alive by the Bee Gees playing. It's only for like a few seconds of the song. They don't play the whole thing. Guess the copyright's kind of in the film industry too. But then when Alex, Gloria, and Melman are about to leave the zoo, Melman is a bit hesitant because he wants to stay at the zoo, but then Gloria and Alex are like, no, you're coming with us. So Melman eventually does go with them, and then the chimps, Mason and Phil, end up following, and then they're gonna head to City Hall and like fling poo with someone, I forget the exact name. And then we see Marty skiing on like an ice rink briefly. It's like, wow. Marty's sure having a good time, but then when they're at the train station, because Alex wanted to take a place called Park, but apparently Melman said that went 2 ways, so they ended up taking like a shortcut to a train station, and Alex is like, you know what, this is fucking dumb. And Melman just like, is like, oh yeah, I was in the men's room, and look, Harry meant. He had mint on his tongue. But then when the train arrives, they get on it, and then Alex is like telling Gloria what he said to Marty, and then they end up scaring all the passengers away, and we see a scene with Marty talking to a police horse. It's like, well, I mean, it is talking animals, so, I mean, the animals can probably speak to each other, but the humans just can't understand them, so... And then, when they're on the train, Alex, Gloria, and Melman, they realize, they see a person there, it's like, what? They're terrified of me, don't even recognize Alex the lion when he's outside of the zoo. So anyways, when they arrive at Grand Central Station, right before they get off the train, Alex asks, did that just say Grand Central Station or my aunt's constipation? Yeah, it's kind of funny. But then, after they get off the train, Melman gets his head stuck, and there's like a drummer. But then, even Melman ends up trashing his drums, and he's still drumming. It's like, is this dude blind because he has sunglasses on? And yep, Marty is at the station waiting to figure out how to get to Connecticut. But then once Alex, Gloria, and Melman arrive, and the old lady's beating up Alex, it's like, sure, we gotta abuse Alex. Well, I mean, again, this is a kid's movie. They can't show Alex really ripping an old lady apart. So, keep that in mind when you're watching a kid's film. They gotta keep it clean for the kids, unless you're watching a post-Cars 2 Pixar film that milked the crap out of a torture scene they put in a previous film. But this is DreamWorks we're talking about, and as far as I know, DreamWorks did not do that with any of their films. Or I haven't watched enough DreamWorks films to determine if they had a Rad Redline Death Sequence equivalent curse, because they all seem to be decent, like just... yeah. But anyways, Alex manages to grab Marty, and then unfortunately Melman's like pushed into a clock by the old lady Nana, and then cops are like swarming in, and then Alex is like, Marty, why the fuck did you run off on us like that? I thought we were your friends. And Marty's trying to convince that he was going to be back in the morning, but it's like, yeah, I don't think he would have made it back in the morning. And somehow the Penguins even got there too, because they're also getting arrested by the cops, and then Alex even tries to, like, talk to all the cops, but unfortunately, I don't think the cops speak lion, so... One of them, they even said to do with a tranquilizer gun, who ends up shooting Alex right in the ass with a tranquilizer gun. And Alex starts, like, hallucinating. It's like in that one Family Guy episode with Brian did the shrooms. And then they're playing the freaking Candyman song. And you're seeing visions of, like, Marty and Melman dancing, and then Gloria's, like, Lady Liberty, and, like, whoosh. It's like, wow, so they're about to get deported. But then, even though Alex does briefly wake up at, like, a conference, they realize he's awake and he gets drugged again, but this time he gets drugged on his hand. They do a sped-up version of the same vision from before, and, yep. That's phase 1 of the whole trilogy. They leave New York, they're about to get deported away from there forever. It's like, they really did great. They did a really great job of setting up this trilogy. Well, I mean, obviously when they made the original Madagascar, I'm not sure if DreamWorks had plans on making the second and third movies when they made the first, but... Anyways, Alex wakes up in a crate and he thinks he's alone. Because he's acting alone, so he realizes that Marty is right next to him. And he's happy to see Marty at first, and then Gloria's also down there. They're all happy to see each other. Then Melman is there, and they tell Melman, are you alright? He's like, yeah, I often doze off while I'm getting an MRI. Dude, you're not getting an MRI or a CAT scan. This is a goddamn zoo transfer. And Melman starts freaking out. It's like, no, this dude could have brought my medical stuff. I'm fucked. And Marty's trying to convince him. He even says, word for word, easy, Melman, it's gonna be alright. We're gonna be okay. But then Alex snaps. He's like, no, Marty, we're not gonna be okay because of you. We're ruined. And because apparently Alex is blaming Marty for what happened at the train station. It's like, you ticked off the people and you bit the hand. I don't know who I am. I go find myself in the wild. Yeah, because Alex is pissed at Marty for getting them in that mess. And they're still arguing with each other because even like when they're on the ship, because Melman's saying that they should have listened to him, but everyone's like, you shut the fuck up, Melman. Before we zoom out and we see the Penguins are also getting deported, and they're like, see a passage on their box that says, well, about their shipping label, and conveniently Mason happens to be in the cage next to them, and they're like, hey, can you read? And Mason tells them, no, Phil can read, though. So then he tries to so then Phil ends up reading the label on the Penguin's crate, which, even though Mason doesn't know how to read, he apparently knows sign language. So then he reads, ship to Kenya, Wildlife Preserve, Africa. I mean, I've been trying to learn sign language so that way I can communicate with deaf people. That's why sign language is handy. If you ever meet somebody who's deaf, then you communicate with sign language, or even just write your sentences, like, well, unlike me, who has sloppy handwriting, so... Yeah, but then Rico has a paperclip, he picks a lock to the Penguin's crate, and then they start knocking everybody out stealthily until they get to the cockpit, and they end up knocking out the the captain of the ship, and they hijack it. Oh yeah, and also, by the way, Alex, Marty, Gloria, and Melman are still arguing until Marty's crate breaks loose, and then as the ship turns around, they all end up falling in the water. But then, yeah, after they all fall in the water, Alex ends up floating to the island of Madagascar, which, he's just on the beach right now, and he gets sand in his mouth after he flies out of his crate. It's like, yeah, that'd be disgusting, so... Then he starts calling for Gloria, Marty, and Melman as he's, like, wandering around the beach, looking for them. And he literally keeps doing this. It's like, because it does like a scene change where it's the following morning he's still saying their names. It's like, was he walking around that beach all night looking for them? Ugh. But anyways, Melman washes up on the beach, so then Alex goes to greet him because he's still in his crate, but he stuck his legs through it though. But anyways, Melman falls over. Alex gets the top of Melman's crate open up and tries to pull him out, but he realizes, yeah, no, this is going nowhere. So then he tries to literally, like, use, like, a fucking tree as, like he's a pool cue. It's like, are you sure that's a good idea? And of course, Melman's like, no, don't hit me like I'm a cue ball on a pool table! Obviously, right before Alex can pluck Melman out of the box, Gloria washes up on the beach, and Melman says this. So then Alex runs over to Gloria's crate, which Gloria kicks the wall off her crate, and then they end up breaking Melman's. And how did Gloria get a starfish and a crab? Because she's wearing the stars like she's wearing, like, a bra, and... Yeah, for some reason, the animators decided to give Gloria a belly button. It's like, do hippos have a belly button in real life, or did they just animate that for the movie? But anyways, those three are happy to see each other, and then Marty shows up on the beach after riding some dolphins. It's like, did those dolphins help him get out of his crate? And then we see like a slow motion montage of Alex and Marty running towards each other until Alex gets pissed, and then Marty says, oh, sugar, honey, god damn it, sugar, honey, ice, I'm sorry, I literally forgot the line. I apologize if I messed it up. So then, of course, Alex and Marty are still yelling at each other until Gloria's like, okay, will you two fuckwads like try to get this straightened out? But they're still playing the blame game until, and then when Marty's about to apologize to Alex, Alex ends up shushing him. He's like, no, do you hear that drumming coming from the woods? Or the jungle in this case. So they're wandering through the jungle, right? And then once they reach the party, like Alex is like getting just hit by like trees and spider cobweb and like a whole tons of other shit along the way until Gloria, Marty, and Melman reach some leaves, and they think it's people, but when they open it, it's lemurs, dancing lemurs, and then King Julian, voiced by Sacha Baron Cohen, who I think he was married to Isla Fisher. I'm not sure if they still are or not, but yeah, anyway, they're singing the Move It song, which, yes, this is the movie with the dancing lemurs that sing from the song I Like to Move It, Move It. But if you go to Madagascar, I don't think you have dancing lemurs there, so that's kind of sad. But anyways, Gloria, Marty, and Melman realize that Alex is gone. They're like, where the fuck did he go? He was right behind us. And that's when the Fusa show up and are about to attack lemurs, and they end up capturing Mort, who is voiced by Andy Richer. I think Andy Richer was also an elf too, but once Alex arrives, he goes to talk to the Fusa. He's like, hey, we got stuck on that beach for hours, and Mort sees it as a distraction to run off. So, but unfortunately, as Alex is talking, they realize he had a spider on his back, and then Alex starts freaking out, which scares the Fusa away, and then Maurice, voiced by Cedric the Entertainer, as with King Julian, realizes this, and like, whoa, he just chased the Fusa away. But then they're trying to kill the spider and actively missing it. Wow. Poor Alex, he cannot get a break. Anyways, after how about we make a plan to befriend those freaks? So they send Mort out there, and they're going to say hi, but Alex ends up upsetting him. It's like, I think Mort was scared of Alex's teeth, and that's what caused him to start crying here, but I'm not sure what it is. And of course, Gloria then tries to comfort Morty. It's like, did that big mean lion scare you? He's a big mean little putty tat. So then King Julian and the other lemurs go to meet the hippies. Yes, in the later films, Skipper refers to Alex, Marty, Gloria, and Melman as the hippies, so once the hippies introduce himself to King Julian and the lemurs, they're like, okay, we gotta figure out where all the people are. And they see like a hanging skeleton, and Maurice is like, if there was more people here, it would not be called the Wild, so yeah. And they even cut themselves off, saying that like they're from New York, and then King Julian's like, all hail the New York Giants, so eventually Alex is getting driven nuts, and Marty's happy to be in the wild, but Alex is like, no, I want to swim back to New York, and Gloria's like trying to stop him, and we see a whole montage of them going batshit crazy on the beach. And Gloria's thinking, maybe the people are on their way here right now to save us. But nope, 2,500 miles south, or 2,501 miles south, the penguins are getting close to Antarctica. And they're going to have some ice-cold sushi for breakfast. Anyways, they also have like a little grave for Melman as he's like reading like his will, but again it gets fucked by the water. He's like, oh come on. It's like, yeah, they're kind of getting delusional for being on that beach. And then Marty's like, whoa, you made a latree there, and Alex is like, this is not a latree, this is a grave. You sent Melman to his grave and you brought all this bad luck upon us. Why did you tell us about your wish? You're not supposed to do that. And Marty's like, excuse me, I did not want to tell you guys. You practically forced me to tell you what my wish was. And this is not bad luck, it's good luck. But Alex is thinking that Marty's just being nasty and selfish. It's like, no, Alex, you're being the selfish one. Because he ends up dividing the island into two. And then he's like, you know what, Marty, you have your own side where you can do whatever the fuck you want. While me, Gloria, and Melman are staying over here and are happy about heading to New York. I want to head back to New York. And Marty tries to go on his side, but I was just like, no, you stay on your side. So anyways, Alex decides, don't worry, I have a plan to get us rescued. So that night, they end up building like a statue, so Alex is delusional and he wants to get off the island. But then, once the statue is built, he's trying to get Melman to make some fire, and he's trying to like make Marty jealous, but apparently Marty's doing well with like setting up his own hut, and yeah, and Gloria's like sitting with a flower, and then once Alex shows her the statue, it's like, hey Melman, how's that fire going? And Melman even asks, why can't we just borrow some of Marty's fire? It's like, you know, because rubbing two pieces of wood together, I've never got that to work, so they could have easily just borrowed some of Marty's fire, but Alex is like, no, I am not using wildfire on Lady Liberty. Melman does eventually get it lit, but then he ends up burning the statue after he celebrates for too long, and then Alex jumps off the statue and lands on his face. It's like, pfft, and Gloria's like, what? I thought like cats were always supposed to lay on their feet. What kind of cat are you? And of course, Alex is pissed that the statue is burned up, and Melman asks, can we go to the front side now? It's like, yeah, because Melman is realizing how selfish Alex is being here. So he and Gloria go over to Marty's side of the island. And then we cut back to King Julian and the lemurs are like in like some sort of plane that crashed into a tree, and then he's trying to like tell them about like their conference about the New York Giants or the hippies. And then they're like saying, okay, so King Julian's speaking, and he's telling them, alright, so what do you want to say about the New York Giants? And the lemurs saying they like them. Even Mort says, even before I met them, I liked them. It's like, is that the guy who literally cried when they confronted you after you got kicked out of the bush?
You are made of stupid.
Yeah, King Julian thinks that Mort is annoying, so yeah. But then they decide, how do we make Mr. Alex our friend, and he'll scare the Fusa away, and they'll never eat us ever again. But then Maurice is like, Alex, I gave you the heebie-jeebies. But then King Julian tells them, Maurice, you did not raise your hand. Does anyone else have the heebie-jeebies? Then no, let's make Alex our friend, and we'll make the hippies wake up in paradise tomorrow morning. So they do that. But they decide to, but then pan back to the beach where Alex has like a help sign, and then Marty is like talking to him saying, "Hey, Gloria and Melman are having fun on the fun side. If you want to come over here and join us." And Alex is like, "No, I'm tired and I'm hungry. I just want to go home." Marty's like, "Fine, suit yourself. Fun side wasn't the same without you." And then also Alex's help sign breaks and it says hell. The P broke. So then Alex eventually decides, you know what, I've been a jerk. I'm going to head to the fun side. So he does that, and then Marty eventually lets him in after accepting Alex's apology, which, how do you get the door and the chains built? That's one thing I don't get. And then Alex is like being shown around Marty's hut, and then he has some like, seawater that he drinks. Well, actually, he drinks some water, he spits it out. It's like, ew, this is seawater. And then Marty's like, oh, no, don't swallow it. It's just temporary until we get the plumbing worked out. And then Marty even gives them some other food, like seaweed on a stick, and Alex is kind of grossed out by it, but everyone else is having fun. He even opens, like, the roof with some shooting stars, and Alex wishes for a steak, and he starts, like, tripping balls because he misses the steaks they gave him at the zoo, so he thinks Marty's a steak and ends up licking him, but then just uses that excuse to count the white stripes where they all go to sleep, and King Julian spy on them, waiting for the right moment to take them to their camp. It's like, we just have to wait till they're deep in their sleep. And he even yells, how long is this going to take? Which wakes the hippies up, but then they go back to sleep, and yeah. So, King Julian's devious about, and yeah, King Julian's not the main villain of this film. Actually, I think it's the Fusa that are the main villains of this movie, but anyways, the penguins are in Antarctica. They realize, well, this sucks, which is what Private says, so then they leave Antarctica, and the next morning the lemurs wake up the hippies in paradise. So, yeah. Oh boy, and then, but then they eventually decide to just start enjoying it, and then Alex decides to put on a show after mentioning his king stuff, and he's like really doing all those moves, and I think he might have sensed the Fusa because he roars like really loud to the point he scares him away. Because Marty even told him to do the roaring and realizes, holy shit, you never do that at the zoo so you don't terrify the little kids watching. But anyways, as Alex is still doing the moves, that's when he starts hallucinating. He sees everybody as a steak because he hasn't eaten in like, what, days? And then he ends up biting Marty in the ass. It's like, yep, Alex is starting to hallucinate. Oh shit. And then they realize, Alex is like, oh, I'm starting to see everything as a steak. And then Maurice is like, see, told you this plan was going to fail. Alex is a savage beast. So then that's when Marty's like, do I look like a steak to you? Yes. See, I told you. Did he just say I look like a steak? And then everyone runs with Marty chasing Alex in hot pursuit before he gets knocked out by a coconut. Well, actually, Maurice shoots the coconut at him, but it just stuns Alex temporarily for him to realize, why am I chasing after Marty? So then Alex decides to go to, like, the other side of the island, which then we have that Trees of Green song by, what is it, Curtis Armstrong? Is that the name of the singer? They've used this in like a bazillion, I don't know how many films they used this in. It was in Finding Dory with the fucking truck flying, and then they used it in some other movie I know called Journey to the Mysterious Island that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was in. I was shown that like when I was on vacation with like a family friend, with like a friend from my mom's, and they just threw that movie on out of the blue. But back to Madagascar. Marty, Gloria, and Melvin begin to realize the dangers of the wild, like seeing stuff getting eaten, birds getting eaten by flowers, snakes and rats, and they try to save like a poor duckling that ends up getting eaten by a crocodile. It's like, yeah, the wild is pretty messed up like that. Survival of the fittest. But then Alex has his own little fortress on the Fusa side of the island, and then Marty is like, no, we've lost Alex, what are we gonna do? And then they hear the boat horn and they run to the beach to wave it over. After, like, but then when the boat comes over to them, Marty's about to go get Alex, but then Gloria and Melvin tell him, no, don't go back for Alex by yourself, but Marty does so anyway when the boat arrives, because then the penguins get off the boat, and Gloria asks, where are the people? And then Skipper actually says, we killed them and ate their liver. He's like, no, I'm just messing with you, they're alright, they're on a lifeboat on their way to China. Wow. Oh my god. So they're trying to like devise a plan to save Marty, which Gloria and Melvin realize, oh god, we gotta go back and save him. So Skipper's like talking to the plan, and then this Private probably will not survive this. But then the crayon Private was using for like their sketchbook broke. It's like, yeah, I guess the Penguins were well loved, and that's probably why they got their own spinoff. If that's the case, then why haven't the tuners from Cars gotten their own spinoff? That is a origin story we need. Come on, Pixar, if you're watching this video, yes, I know I dog on you for milking the crap out of Rod Torque Redline's death scene in Cars 2, but please give us a prequel series with the tuners from Cars. So then we cut back to Marty, who managed to go through all that stuff Alex went through, like, because it showed us a scene earlier where Alex was falling through some rocks and some, like, cherry blossoms and then some cacti. And Marty has a cactus on his butt. But then he heads back in. Alex briefly sees himself back in New York before Marty snaps him out, and Alex is like, no, I don't want to hurt you. Get out of here. And then Marty tries to, like, encourage Alex to come back by singing, like, that New York song that Alex sang to him at the beginning of the film, but then he's ambushed by the Fusa. So then Alex is like, no one hurts my friend. But then Marty's about to get eaten by the Fusa before Melman and Gloria save him. But then they're cornered, and then the Penguins show up, and Skipper shoots a flare gun, and here's where all the Fusa start, like, staring at the flare, like, as... It's like if a girl wore an inappropriate outfit to school, and then they got, like, freaking, and then when they get dress code, they get, like, stripped completely naked, like the 2319 protocol from Monsters, Inc. They have, like, a cone around their neck and their boobies out, and all the guys are staring like, ooh, sa. Or even if it was a guy who got dress code, he was stripped naked, and all the girls were staring at his cock. Look it up. Schools actually do that. I'll give you a second to Google it. No, they fucking don't. Why would you believe that? Have you ever seen a naked person at school? No, that's stupid. Why would they even do that? If you fell for it, subscribe. If you didn't fall for it, like. I'll just go ahead and do both. But anyways, Alex eventually shows up and he saves the gang after he scares off the Fusa. Marty is kind of scared. So is everyone else. Most of the Fusa leave. King Julian realizes his plan was successful, and then they all head back to the beach where they feed Alex some sushi, and he realizes, holy shit, this is better than steak. But then they have like a little celebration right before, as saying thank you freaks, and they're about to head back to New York, but anyways, King Julian gives Alex his crown. It's like, Alex is like, no, I can't take this crown. And then King Julian's like, of course you can. I have a crown that's better. And this one even has a gecko on it. But then the final scene of the film is them waving goodbye to the lemurs, but then the penguins are just watching too, and then they're like, should we tell them the boat's out of gas? Nah, just smile and wave. And yeah, the hippies are even thinking of making some side stops along the way, which they actually do. And since the boat's out of gas, they fly away in the second film, and they're stranded on the island for the time being. But yeah, they get the plane up and running by the time the second film takes place, which we don't know how long they were on the island for, even though we got a Christmas special, and I'm not sure if Madagascar got an Easter special or not, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the original Madagascar and how this film started a trilogy of like a wild goose chase where you leave your home and then you're trying to get back to it. So, and I think I'll probably do these reviews the same way I'm doing the Ice Age films, which my third review of Dawn of the Dinosaurs is out, and this is going on May 27th, so at the time you're seeing this video, that actually would leave you, I'm just checking the calendar, May 27th. That means the Ice Age Continental Drift review will be out 2 weeks from today, at the time you're seeing this video. So, yeah, that's basically it for this, and let me know what you think of the Madagascar films. Do you like them, and are you excited for me to review Madagascar 2 and 3? I'll try to get Madagascar 2 out in June, and then get Madagascar 3 out in July. So, yeah, please like, comment, share, sub, and peace.